Hello YouTube, this is Christian coming to you with another EDC review. This time around on the table is a PP Slim 2.0 from Vanquest. Now this is a personal pocket organizer that I've been using for a while, and just for comparison's sake I'll give you probably the most popular competitors in that particular area, which would be Maxpedition's Mini and Micro pocket organizers. As you can see from the picture in front of you, is that the Vanquest is a little bit more squarish, whereas the Maxpedition variety is a little bit more rounded in appearance. Now this product caught my eye initially because, as compared to the Maxpedition products, you have a really nice high visibility interior, which I appreciate for contrast, as opposed to what you would see in the Maxpedition. It's the same color as your outer, and organized slightly differently. So probably worth mentioning here is why personal pocket organizers, why anything along these lines. And it's a bit of a philosophical thing, perhaps. I'm of the variety. I need my daily essentials with me to work each and every day, and so I tried various concepts of having my gear with me. And you can go down and get fancy backpacks with all kinds of pockets and gazillions of zippers and ways to store your gear. But perhaps it's because I'm getting older, or perhaps it's just I can't remember what I put into which pocket. And it's just terrible. In my mind, I look at a website and I look at a backpack and look at all the pockets and storage facilities, and I get fascinated and think about what I can put where and how to organize my stuff. And then when I get the bag or the backpack, then I find I'm loading it, and then I spend a lot of time searching for an individual item. And so I changed my system because that just plain didn't work for me. And these days I go with, also from Vanquest, an Envoy messenger bag, and it has a big advantage that it has a relatively big undivided internal compartment. It has gazillions of pockets as well, but I'm hardly making use of those. But what really is quite nice, it gives me plenty of opportunity to organize my individual items by category into some of these pouches. And if I know I need my charging cables or I need my notebook accessories, then they're in a certain pouch, and I just pull that pouch out, and just opening that particular bag up, I see everything laid out in front of me, and it's quite easy for me to pick what I need. And it is just a neat way of not having stuff falling around in your backpack and not having to search through all the various pockets that modern everyday backpacks or bags offer. So for me that is a great solution, but it comes at an additional cost, because you will have to get additional little organizers to go into your packing system. And for me it also has a dual purpose, because although I'm not a prepper, I'm not preparing for the zombie apocalypse. I live in New Zealand, and in New Zealand we do have earthquakes, we have floodings, we have forest fires. So there is the very real possibility of a natural disaster. And we call it the Be Ready system. And that just means that you have a certain amount of water, a certain amount of important items stored away at an easy accessible place. If you have to leave your house quickly, if you have to leave your home, you can grab these things, get out, and still have the most needed supplies to get you through a few days if if that is the case, if the water supply gets polluted, or if you're not having access to fresh running water or to shelter, then I would imagine that a lot of New Zealand households have a certain amount of canned food and water bottles and shelter, water filters and such available to pack into the car quickly if they need to get out. And that is also where these things come into play. So all our household be ready items ultimately ended up in packs like this, or much bigger, of course, for some other items, but they all are neatly organized into ready-to-go backpacks. And Vanquest does something very neat here. They actually offer the so-called Vanquest Prepper's Color Coding Kit, which is a really neat system that helped me a lot to organize my stuff for a household of 5 and get everything organized and easily accessible. So what this is, if you're familiar perhaps with some military gear or these kinds of organizer pockets in the companies who produce them, then you will find that hook and loop is a very common appearance on most military packs, and as such it's very, very useful for labeling your items. So they came up with a color coding system in which red is for first aid, orange is fire accessories, yellow is communication, navigation, batteries perhaps, green is food, blue is water, purple is clothes and personal items, coyote is shelter, white hygiene, grey cookware, and black is tools and tactical. And so what I ended up doing is all my packing cubes and all my individual items are pretty much divided into these categories, and when they are stored away, each pack that contains the relevant items gets one of these color-coded Velcro or hook and loop ties. So it gets quite easy to then find what you need in a particular situation. And also this is hook and loop backed, so that can actually go on your backpack or on your carrier, if you like, where all these sit in. And for all those people for whom the color coding might not be as intuitive, it serves as an index or as a register where to find what. And I find this to be quite helpful and a neat way of organizing your stuff, right? And that is despite that word prepper, which for me has a couple of political and philosophical meanings that I don't particularly like, but in terms of be ready for disasters and anything along these lines, this is really helpful and a good thing. And I just wanted to point that out. It's available from Vanquest. Unfortunately, in New Zealand, where I live, there's no distributor for their product, so we have to order them online. I suppose it would be fairly easy and straightforward to solve that with 3M hook and loop ties and just make your own little card. Say if you don't want to fork out the money for a PVC molded piece with hook and loop backing, then I suppose you could quite easily make up one yourself and use it that way. And there's a lot of sense in that, and I would say that's a very good idea to make it easier for you to find your stuff. So, but that's on a side note, but ties into the Vanquest ecosystem. I have a number of items from them, first aid, personal organizer, and the Envoy messenger bag, and I've been really quite impressed with their quality in the way they think about things. So this particular one is more or less containing my everyday carry items as far as items that I most likely use on a daily basis. So in here I just have a pencil, which is a rod ring, and this is a particularly nice one that actually protects the tip. I really like this one. I always tend to have a couple cable shrinks sleeves if I have to isolate something or hold something together. A Sharpie, waterproof marker, always on the list of things I need. I like to carry a little crafting knife. This one is from Kinov & Craft. You can find those guys on Etsy. Mostly because I don't like throwaway items, and those traditional crafting knives, the tips they blunt quickly, and since I'm a knife guy, I like to sharpen my tips, and that's a relatively solid high-end steel tip that goes into one of those, and I can strop and resharpen as needed. That's why I have one of those. A little bit of rope, or a tie, a little Allen wrench, a couple of mauleys if I quickly need to hold things together. I also always have a strop with me. In this particular case, that's just a 3mm piece of aluminium with a little bit of kangaroo leather and some stropping compound. I always have that on me, and that gets a fair bit of use whenever one of my knives loses some of its bite. Then this is always around. There is basic medication, just some ibuprofen, some band-aids, more ibuprofen, and Sonaflam, which is an anti-inflammatory, and then just a cleaning cloth. What I always like to have in here is my Sienkiewicz zero tolerance knife. That is just nice and slim in profile and pokey enough for most tasks, because it's rather small and still on the beefier side in terms of knife steel and scales. I like to have that in that pack. This is a little Phoenix flashlight, Phoenix E12, mostly because just like something that runs on AA batteries. If I don't have access to a charger, to a wall charger, I can't USB charge, so that's always, AA's are usually quite easily accessible, and for that I like this particular little light. Then a nail clipper, and this one here is the Titan light, which is from Exotech, and that is a little universal fuel lighter. Now that is quite similar to Zippo, so it takes your standard lighter fuel or alcohol or whatever is available, spirituous or methylated spirits, and yeah, that just never let me down so far. It's a really nice and capable little lighter in an anodized aluminium package with a nice seal. So as opposed to Zippo, it has never lost any fuel. So I like that about it. It seals with an O-ring. It's relatively compact and easy to refuel. It doesn't leak and doesn't lose any of its fuel. So that's one of the reasons why I keep that. Really nice little unit to have. And then all that is left is really a Write in the Rain pad for taking notes. And then in the front pouch I usually keep a little bit of small change and a few cable ties. And yeah, so you can see there's a fair bit of stuff going into one of these small pouches, and that is I think the smallest one that Vanquest actually does. And what I like about this in particular is the fact that you have that double row. If you compare it to Maxpedition, they do it a little bit differently. They just have a single row on each side. with a more multi-purpose kind of webbing that allows for small and big items, so it gives you a little bit more versatility in terms of placement of whatever needs to go in there. Nobody can tell really, but so that's quite nice. But the way they do it is sometimes you don't just have these full-length items, and so you end up with something rather short that adds a lot to the thickness of your pack, but a lot of space above and below remains unused. And so there's some good thinking going into that one with the Vanquest. So you can see I can place this one in here and still have some room down here to load things a little bit more efficiently, and that just fills my pack more easily and ultimately leads to a little bit better packing. So I really like that about it. And the other thing is it really goes somewhere in the middle, in between those, in terms of outer dimensions. So it is perhaps a little bit narrower than the Maxpedition, but in terms of packing volume, it's bigger. And I like this size in particular because it can also go into my cargo pants on the side, or I can put it into the jacket if I have to, and still have my stuff with me if I just need a small bunch of items that I know I can quickly grab it and stow it elsewhere. And something that is perhaps a little bit inconvenient with the bigger pegs, so I go with that one. Another thing that I perhaps like a little bit better with the Maxpedition is that they have that see-through webbing in front. It has downsides as well. It's probably going to wear rather quickly if you put a lot of use to it, whereas that Cordura fabric is going to be more durable. There's no question about that. In terms of quality of stitching, both of these are equally good. So I can't tell you that one or the other is superior. They are both very well done. I have yet to have any one of these come apart, and some of them don't look so nice anymore. They have seen a lot of use, but they're still functional in every aspect. The webbing hasn't lost its elasticity, and none of the seams opened up anywhere. And also the zippers are YKK, they're relatively high quality zippers. And for the money you're paying for those, if you're in the United States, that's really not too bad. I think they run at around $25, $27 thereabouts, which I feel is a fair price for what you're getting. If you're in New Zealand, unfortunately, the shipping kills it a little bit, so it makes these a fair bit more expensive than the competition from Maxpedition. We have a local distributor for Maxpedition, and these are more accessible and overall cheaper for us. But I really like this a lot, and this is my daily pack. So really this is highly recommended. I love the Vanquest stuff. I have their Envoy backpack, and this little personal organizer is no exception. It's been my go-to EDC carry personal organizer. Just you feel you bought something that has a high level of functionality at a reasonable price, and so I can thoroughly recommend and endorse this particular product from Vanquest. And that concludes my review. All the best, and you all have a good day. Bye bye.